Hi, welcome to the Fishing Dad. I'm Nate, and today we're going to finish up the install on the Garmin Striker 4. Stay tuned. Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to finish up our Garmin Striker 4 install. That'll be the battery box, the transducer, and run all the wires through the hull. I made this video once already. A lot of the things that I didn't work out so well. So the first thing that we did, if you haven't seen the battery build box in this series, go check it out. I'll leave a link up here or down in the description. But if you remember, we went with those for the pass-through, the wire that goes through the side of the box. We tried those conduit pieces, the male and the female adapters, and I was going to fill them with silicone. That didn't work out so hot. So what I did order some cable glands, also called stress relief, waterproof cable connectors and things like that. And here it is on the battery box. Now, it wasn't quite the tight fit that I wanted, so actually what I did was earplugs. They squish down real nice. They take up quite a bit of space inside the gland. If you can see that green, that's just a couple of earplugs plugged in there. Should keep it good and watertight. But then I just installed the wire in there. My battery's already in there. I did come up with a solution for mounting this inside. I didn't want it to be a permanent mount. I wanted to be able to remove it to store it over the winter. So I'll show you what I came up with originally that didn't work. And then I'll show you, once we start putting this in, I'll show you what I ended up doing. So let me show you what I came up with originally for that. I was going to take this piece of white cutting board with a bungee strap attached so that I could slide my box in and this would hold it in place. I tried using that double-sided alien tape or that silicone tape. Didn't stick to the inside of my kayak. I tried some of that 3M mounting tape without sanding anything. It did not stick to the inside of my kayak. So I've got another solution for that. So why don't we go ahead and get right into it. I'll show you one of these cable glands and how they work. So you cut your hole in whatever you want to put this in, right? Anything that you need wires to pass through. And you make the hole so that this end, I don't know if you can see it all that well on camera, but you drill the hole so that this end slides through nice and easy. And then you pass your wire, you put this in to the hole, you screw this little back cap on, tighten it down really well, pass your wires through, and then as you tighten down on this collar here, it crimps down on this little rubber washer that's inside there. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. I can see you. I can see you. So it crimps down on there, making a watertight connection. Like I said, the wires going through the one in the battery box were a little too small for the hole, for the opening. So that's why I used the earplugs, just to fill it up the rest of the way. Yeah. it works. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna start running our wires. I'm gonna pull the kayak back underneath the light so you can see what's going on. Point you down at the kayak, and then we'll get right into it. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna install our transducer. First thing. And actually, I'm gonna use the footage from the last time I recorded because that part went really, really well. So we'll stop here. We'll go check out that footage. And then we'll come back and we'll start running the wires for everything up to our head unit. Okay, so if this is hard for you to hear, I'll do a voiceover for most of it. Basically, we're going to put our duct seal here with our transducer right in this general area. So I'm going to pull off a block, about half of this block of duct seal. It's sticky stuff. It's pretty sticky, kind of difficult to get it out of the box or out of the package. Tear off about half of it. And you want to knead it a little bit, make sure that there's no air bubbles inside of it. Kind of make a ball, kind of like that. What I think I'm going to do is we're going to set it straight down like that. And we're going to give it a good mush. So that looks pretty good. It's a little bit bigger than our transducer. And we're going to take our transducer let's give ourselves a little bit more cable to work with. You can always wrap it back up like that. Peel the little plastic off of it that comes on it from the factory. Now I'm going to rock it from front to back. Make sure that there's no air bubbles in. Press it down really well. Check it for level. If your transducer is not level, you're going to be shooting your sonar off to one side or the other, so, or front to back as well. Okay. Does that look pretty level to you? It's a little off kilter. We'll give it a little spin. Transducer is now mounted. I'm going to pinch up the sides just a little bit to really press it down in there. Is the camera still sitting up? Yep. All right, that looks pretty good. I think we're gonna call that good. Pull you guys out of here and I'll show you what it looks like from the other side. So, like I said, if the audio sucks on that when I review it, and edit, I'll do a voiceover on it. But let's take another look down here. So that's what it looks like from the other side. Let's move that light. That's not going to help. So that's what it looks like from this side, from the front side. So hopefully that'll work out fine for us. If not, I'll have to redo it, but we'll go from there. We'll flip you over, put you back on the tripod, and we'll finish up the rest of the build. All right, so we're back. We did the transducer. So now we're gonna run our wires before we do anything else. That duct seal worked great, and we've got another thing for that later. So basically what we're gonna do, we've got our transducer wire coming out of the hull here. We've got our battery cable down in the hull right now. This end we'll plug into our battery box. This end needs to go through the hull of the kayak. Now, when I originally did this, I drilled my hole right here. I was not happy with that placement. A little too late that I figured out that I was not happy with that placement. So I just put a cable gland in there. I put a couple of I put a single earplug in there. I cranked it down really well. That should remain airtight. One thing that I thought I could use it for, you know, it's like an auxiliary port. I might mount a solar powered battery bank. Let me show you that real quick, because some of you might not know what I'm talking about. So I bought this power bank a few years ago. It was a bit much for what I needed it for, but it holds a charge really, really long. I can USB charge 3 things. It also has a wireless charger on it. It's got this really bright light on it, and I've used it for some of the camera work here and there. But that would be good for if I was out in the dark and I needed some light. But what I thought was I would put some sort of mount here, because this is a solar panel and it'll solar charge. So if I can mount that right there and run my cables through this cable gland and up and out, I can power my my phone, or I can run another cable off of it to somewhere else on the boat and power my GoPros, or GoPro. I only have one. But that was kind of an idea that I thought might work in the future. But then I can mount that somewhere. The sun is constantly charging it while it's charging everything else. So that was that idea. After the fact, I was like, oh, I drilled a hole that I didn't need, and then I thought of a solution of how I can use that. So let's get right into our build. So let's drag this over here. Let's see. Yeah, let's move this like this. Yeah, I should be able to see that just fine. Right now, I've got my phone mount and my Garmin mount all set up. Let's remove the phone. We'll set it aside for now. All right, and then we'll take our Garmin off, set that aside because we don't need that just yet. I'm going to switch over to the other side of the kayak. That might help us a little bit. And all this futzing around. Bring my tools over. Just kind of get set up over there so that I'm not in your way. Alright, so we're going to use a drill. I'm going to use a really tiny little drill for a pilot hole, and then to cut the hole for the cable gland. My cable gland is 3/4 inch at this end where it goes on the inside. So I got a 3/4 inch Forstner bit. I didn't have a spade bit 3/4 inch, so we're just gonna try that. It should work. I don't see why it wouldn't. Then we've got a razor blade for cleaning up the burrs. We got our cable glands. We've got some of this black tubing. I may or may not use that. We'll see. But let's get started on drilling our hole. So I kind of figured out, I played around with the placement of this, and I decided on, I'm going to take off this whole mount here so it's out of our way. Move you in a little bit closer. There we go. So I decided on putting my cables to come out right here. Put my cable gland on there. It might be kind of goofy getting that in there. Let me see if I can get my nut down in there. Yeah, that should work. Alright, so I'm going to figure on putting it right about there. That'll give me enough. I can pull the cables out far enough so I got enough strain relief on it so it doesn't bind up on me, and I can move that everywhere. So first things first, we're going to put our little drill on. We're going to kind of figure out where we want that and kind of try to hit the center. And I'm just going to mark it with my drill bit and then come back and finish it up. Now these cable glands, I think they were $10 on Amazon for 20 of them. 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so it was a 12 pack for $10. To get them here quick enough to do this video, I paid $10 in shipping, but I had Amazon points on my card, so it is what it is, right? So now we got our pilot hole cut, and we're going to take our Forstner bit. Now I didn't test a pre-hole on any of this, but I know it's smaller than the 7/8, so if I need to go a little bit bigger, I can go a little bit bigger. But use your pilot hole. And go slow, no rush. And the thing about the Forstner bit is it doesn't do a very good job of cleaning off the extra plastic off the inside, so you might have to touch it up with a razor blade. Let's check our fit. It seems a little tight. Let's step up to the next Forstner bit. Well, the next Forstner bit is a 7/8. I don't know that I want to go that big. So the next size up is a 7/8. I don't know that I want to go that big this time. So we're going to clean it up with a razor blade a little bit. Okay, now that we got our hole big enough, I'm just gonna run my razor blade around at an angle, get rid of some of the burrs on here. I don't think the burrs are gonna be a problem, but okay, so our cable gland fits just fine. A little tight, but that's okay. So we're gonna run our wires through. Now I have to get my wires all the way down here and through here. One thing to remember is to put them through the nut, the backer nut for the cable gland before you feed them through here. Otherwise you won't be able to get this on. So take our battery cable, we're gonna fish it on down. Okay, we got our battery cable here. And then our transducer cable, we're going to push that down there too. Okay, we've got our cables. Put our nut on. Okay. Now it doesn't really matter just yet about that nut. We can fish it out of there at a later time. And we're going to push our cables through here. One thing I thought of was running my USB cable now for my phone. I'm gonna say, yeah, we're gonna stop right now. I'm gonna go find a cable and I'll come back and we'll do that too. Okay, so I went and found my USB-C cable. It's a little long, but I figure if I can have it coming out this one into my charger, I can run this through the hall to just about anywhere. They didn't have shorter ones when I was buying them, but I also thought that I could run my GoPro from my hat mount with this long cable. I'd have to put another port in back here, but we'll worry about that at a later time. So for right now, we're gonna I'm gonna feed this underneath through the hull and up through here. So we got it all set up for us. I'm just kind of thinking ahead. I don't know, you know, I'll probably end up doing that, but so there's our USB-C. Run it up through the hole. Okay, so we've got our, oh, I almost forgot. See? You don't think things through all the time. You've got to run it through that nut as well. Everything that comes through this hole has to go through that little extra cable up through here. Everything's got to go through that nut. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it on the cable gland. Alright, so we got all three of our cables coming through. Our cable gland is ready to go on. Now, because of the size of this hole, you have to be strategic about how you put things in. So we're going to put our smallest diameter cable in first, and that looks like to be our USB. Make sure that the crimping end, you're going in through the back side. So we're going to put our USB-C through. Then our next smallest cable is our transducer cable. You should be able to get that through there, pull enough of it through. And then our battery cable. This one's going to be tough because everything is really nice and tight in there. But once you get it through, it's through. Now, I don't think I'm going to have to use an earplug on this, but we'll find out. Let's reach back in and grab our nut, slide it up, and you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm just tightening the back side, that nut onto the back side of our cable gland. It's kind of a pain to get started with one hand in an awkward position. And at some point I'll take you down, show you the whole inside, and get that going. So now I'm going to make sure that we have enough cable sticking through the whole works. I try to keep them a little even. Okay, so that's nice and tight. Try to get them all nice and even. Now we got to feed them through the little compression nut. Still, again, smallest cable first. This might be a bigger pain than the other one because this part is not flexible. If it doesn't work with the USB, I'll take the USB out. But we're going to try like heck to get this in here. There. That was kind of a pain, but we've got it through. Make sure all of our cables lead through. We're going to leave about that much out so that we have that extra play in it. And this just gets screwed down to the outside and you can hear it clicking. That means it's crimping down on those cables. Now you've got a good solid connection there. Okay, so before we go and do anything crazy, before we go and start closing everything up, we've got all of our wires run, everything is there. We want to test everything. So I'm going to hook up my battery to my USB for the phone and the GoPro. Plug that guy in like that. Then let's get our Striker 4 unit. We're going to plug that guy in. Take our transducer, we'll hook that up as well. That'll give us a reading. Okay. So that's all hooked up. I'm going to come around to the other side. We'll hook up the battery. And we'll plug in my phone as well to make sure that it's working. So we take our battery box. The battery's already hooked up. That's our USB. Let's get you turned over here. And we just have to fish our battery cable out of here. So we got our quick connect battery cables. Get that thing plugged in. Grab my phone. Plug my phone in down here. Right now I've got the GoPro preview control set up, and the phone is charging. If you can see the light, the little red light means that it's charging. Also on the phone, I don't know if you can see it. I can't really get it closer because the cord's so short, but it's charging. So that's working fine. We can unplug that because we know that one's working. Now the next test is the Garmin Striker 4. Let's turn on. And it seems to be working. We'll know more if the transducer is once I get it on the water, but we're just going to go traditional. And it looks like we have a return on it. So it says we're at 0 feet. We'll see what it looks like once we get it on the water. If we got to change up our setup, we'll do that. But I've got power. Got everything set up. So now we can just unplug everything because we know it all works now. Okay, and we'll set everything aside. And the one and final thing that I want to do is talk about how I'm mounting the battery box where I want it. Now inside my kayak, I've got 2 humps inside, just in this general area, here and here. Battery box is in the way. So there's a cavity inside here, and I'll bring you down and I'll show you what's going on inside. But the hull kind of does like this, where it dips down. Well, if you remember, we put the transducer in between those 2 humps, but it's nice and flat, kind of flat enough on either side of that, on the inside, to put the battery box. Now, like I said before, we tried the alien tape, we tried the extreme mounting tape from 3M, and it wasn't sticky. It just didn't stick. So what I thought would be a nice temporary solution is to get a couple of these, pull off a little bit of this duct seal, the same stuff that we used for our transducer, and we're going to make 2 little balls out of it. You know, it's like playing with really sticky Play-Doh. I just got 2 little balls on there. Now on the bottom of our battery box, let's unplug this so we're not restrained. So on the bottom of the battery box, it's got these little feet. I'm just going to stick them on the back side, 2 of them. Kind of mush it down just a little bit. And this should help hold it in place while we're on the water, so it's not bouncing around making a ton of noise. I'm gonna push it back as far as I can go and just reach in and give it a little push. And then from there, you didn't see any of that. Well, basically I just reached my hand in with that goop on there, on the little feet, and reached in. And then from there, I've got my battery cable, and I can just plug it up, and my Garmin Striker 4 is powered. Now I'm just gonna kind of seat it like that for now. Another thing that I thought might be useful, where did I put it? I have this little nylon bag that I was gonna put all of my extra cord all wrapped up in there. There it is. And in fact, this little nylon bag, it's got a drawstring and a lace lock on it. I don't know, that's what we used to call them, lace locks. But it came with my GoPro accessory pack, or maybe it came with the GoPro, can't remember. But I just want a way to manage all of my wires and keep everything kind of neat. I mean, you can only get so neat when you got this many wires floating around. Now the USB-C, I'm not going to run that through. I'm not going to run that through here just yet. So I'm going to wrap it up and stuff it into that nylon bag with the rest of my wires. Another thing is I don't have to have that battery mounted, that power pack. I don't have to have that mounted anywhere. I can just stuff it down in here because I'm not entirely sure that the solar power is going to keep it charged when I'm running a phone and a GoPro on it. So all right, so that's just about it. I'm going to get everything cleaned up, and when we come back, I'll show you the inside of the hull, and we'll close up this video. It shouldn't be a very long video, which is kind of nice. But I'm going to get everything kind of cleaned up, buttoned up, and we'll be back. All right, we're back. I've got it all cleaned up, everything all buttoned up. I did do one other thing, and I'll show you that real quick. So down here, if you can see, I put some of this wire management cover stuff. On the inside, I just use those little bread ties, the little twisty ties that come on, well, they come on cables, they come on bread, you know what I'm talking about. And then I shrouded it, and then I just put a couple of little zip ties at either end to keep it in place. I did not put my USB through that because I wanted it to come over here to where my phone is going to be setting. But yeah, everything's all cleaned up. Haven't put the seat back in yet. But I'll just go quickly through everything. Let's pop open the hatch. I'm gonna have to find us a light. Okay. So we got our hatch here, but inside the hatch, I don't know if you can see very well, we've got our nut back there. Can you see that? Kind of behind the white plate. Maybe you can, maybe you can't see that. It's hard for me to tell if you can or not because I'm down in the hole. Well, we got our cable glands hooked up. Everything's all cleaned up. Inside of our hatch here, pull that open. We've got our battery cable right there. It's ready to go. And then down inside, we've got our nylon bag full of our wires. I've got our transducer just past that. And it's a little messy with wires, but it's not too terrible. So that's all there is to that. Let's turn you back around, take a look. So that's it. All said and done, it probably took me an hour to get everything worked out and run. I did have a little bit of practice because many of the things I did in the first place did not work out. The only thing that worked out well was putting that transducer in, and that's why you're going to see that transducer mount from the first one, because I didn't want to take it out and put it back in. So, and we'll find out if that actually works. So we're done with just about everything that I definitely wanted to do before getting it out on the water. So this is probably going to be the last time you see me in the basement for the season. If I figure out more things to do to the kayak for next season, for the winter time, I'll pull it back down into the basement so I can work on those things. But it's May. I think it's May 2nd today. Tomorrow, I don't know if you can see outside. Let's just take a wander out back real quick. Take a little wander outside. All right, we're outside. Let's turn you around. And it's awful wet and gray and rainy. Might be a good day to get out on the water, but I got a few things I have to get done today. But tomorrow looks great. So 70 degrees and sunny. So that's the plan. We're gonna put her out on the water. We'll get a little bit of footage of that. Other than that, until next time on the Fishing Dad.